Last home run after, there it is in the air. Will it go? It is going, and it is gone. Goodbye. 300 home run, finally.
Well, as I said, he's got the numbers for the Hall of Fame, and if he's not confident that he's going to be in, let me assure you that he will be there. Let's go to Edmonton. Mona is our next caller. Hi, Mona.
Hi, Gary. Welcome back.
Well, thank you, Mona. Appreciate it very much.
Given today's recessive trends, are you in favor of salary caps as instituted by other leagues? After all, how many hikes of ticket prices can the fans take?
Well, you know, when you start talking about salaries, that's a very touchy subject. And, of course, I was fortunate enough to get into that one era where I signed a contract back in 1982, and I became one of the highest paid in the game. Now, seeing the salaries escalate to the heights that they have, no one would have ever fathomed a guy such as Ryan Sandberg blowing past the $6 million mark and going into the $7 million mark. And I know that the fans perceive that as being unrealistic. But I think that what has enabled the salaries to go to the heights that they have is simply because of the television packages that are out there with CBS and also ESPN. And, you know, baseball is continuing to just, you know, be the most popular, and there's record attendances set every year. And I don't think the fan is upset with seeing the salaries, because I still feel that they can go and be entertained, take their family, and still pay a reasonable amount for a ball game. It's a lot less than it is to go and pay for a football game or a hockey game.
Well, let me give you a classic example. Phantom of the Opera is a fantastic show that's playing in Toronto at $100 a ticket.
Right.
It's a great show, terrific cast, but are they the best in the world? Baseball players are the best at what they do in the world.
Well, that's very true, but you know, it's unfortunate because I think almost every one of us have played baseball at one time or another, and they think, oh, gee, I can do that. And then you look at the other sports as well, and seeing basketball players make spectacular shots, or like a Michael Jordan, the great athleticism that he shows. Football players that get crunched every week and then still go back out there the next week. And I think there is something that I think most of the fans look beyond, and that is to see what a athlete has to put his body through as well. I mean, I've had a lot of major injuries and all as well, but and I still love the game. But I think that, yes, an athlete is going to go out there and he's going to perform a lot differently than the regular, you know, Joe that plays on the weekends and plays sandlot ball and can say, oh, yeah, I can hit home runs and all. And then you face a Nolan Ryan and you go, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more difficult.
Well, I mean, the guy'd have to be an idiot if he thought that he could play Major League Baseball if he hadn't spent his entire life dedicating himself to it. Right. I think there's something else that fans, though, have to remember is you don't get $3 million the first year you start. No. I mean, you know, you get the Major League minimum for the first, Richie, what is it, 3 years?
Well, you get the first, now if you want to really date back, in 1975, my first Major League year I made $16,500. Now the Major League minimum salary is $109. You can improve that, the next year, and it just depends on what kind of a good year you have. If you're the Rookie of the Year, say, you can make the next year maybe $300,000 or $400,000. Dave Justice is still a few days short of being able to go to arbitration, and he just signed a $550,000 contract, and he's still not 3 years in the big leagues yet. I didn't get over the $100,000 mark until after my fourth year, and then I was making about $220,000 my 8th year. See, so I mean, it has changed, but yet here again, I have no regrets, and I'm very, very happy, Pat. The good Lord has been good. We've been able to be secured as far as the family goes. We've been able to put some money aside, and we're very grateful and very thankful for that.
Well, I hope you've been able to put some aside, because if you haven't, with the kind of money you guys are making, I want to know where you're spending it. Anyway, let's go back to the Rock, to Botwood, Newfoundland. There's another new spot that I hadn't heard of prior to tonight. Todd has been waiting patiently. Thanks for waiting, Todd. Come on in and say hello to Gary Carter.
Hi, Gary.
How are you, Todd?
It's great to see you back in with Montreal.
Thank you.
I was wondering, think you'll be playing full-time, or will you be sharing the role with the younger fellas?
Well, I would say right now I'm going to be sharing the time with probably Darren Fletcher, and I don't know if Rick Cerrone is going to make the ball club or not, or whether or not Tom Runnels is deciding upon taking 3 catchers or 2 catchers. I'm not sure of that yet. There are going to be some tough decisions to make.
How many games do you expect to catch if you're healthy?
If I'm healthy, I'd like to say that I can catch anywhere from 90 to 100 games, maybe to, as many as 110. But there again, I don't know what Tommy Runnels really wants to do. If I'm healthy, I feel that I can catch 100-plus games. These last couple of years, last year I caught about 68 games. The year before I caught 80 games. But the last time I caught over 100 games was in 1988, and then in 89 I had my knee injury, and it broke my string of 12 consecutive years of catching over 100 games. So I feel realistically, depending on what he has plans for, I'd like to think that I can catch about maybe 4 or 5 times a week. And if given the periodic rest and maybe against a tough right-handed pitcher or something like that, then I think that realistically I could catch around 100 ball games.
Is your batting average of less concern to you than your power numbers?
Basically, yes. I mean, I'm going to hit. I feel that once I get the chance to play more often, like last year I played a streak of 20 straight games, and I hit over 300 and hit a couple of home runs in the stretch and had some RBIs and all. So I'm better off when I play a lot rather than playing seldomly, okay? Because when I play once or twice a week, that just doesn't cut it for me.
Most guys are like
exactly.
That. Milton, Ontario. Derek is our next caller. Go ahead, Derek.
Hi, Gary.
Hi, Derek. How are you?
My question is, what team would you like to end your career with?
Right here. Right here in Montreal.
And I would suspect that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't play forever. It just seems like he's been around forever.
Well, it's hard to believe that this is my 18th season.
Yeah, it is unbelievable.
And it has gone by so quick. I can reflect back upon it, and I just can't believe that all this time has gone by, and all of the things that have transpired. And Pat, it's just, it's inconceivable to think that I'm going to be 38 in April, and it's my 18th Major League season.
Let me tell you, what you have just said is so reflective of what had happened to me tonight. A guy that I worked with 20 years ago knew that I was going to be in this studio tonight, and he came across to say hello, and I said, well, like, how many years ago was it we worked together? Was it 10?
Yeah.
And he said it was 1972.
Wow.
And that's how fast life slips by, and a career in Major League Baseball.
It really does, and even for that matter, family. You know, that's another thing that has been very well thought of, and if it wasn't have been for the support of my family, my kids, and my wife, there might have been another thought on this as well of going back to Montreal, but they really did want to go back, and they're excited about it. My middle daughter, Kimmy, was born up at Lakeshore General in Point Claire, so she's excited to go back and see where she was born and all. So, yes, and family, they grow up so quick. Mm-hmm. So all of you viewers that are watching and all, spend some quality time with your family. Enjoy your kids, because before you know it, they're gone.
Winnipeg, Manitoba is where Karen is located. Karen, want to say hello to Gary Carter?
Hi. I was just, first of all, welcome back to Gary. And,
Thank you.
Okay, and my husband and I are big fans, and we were just wondering, first of all, I was going to ask where you planned on finishing your career.
Okay.
And next, how many more years can we look forward to you playing?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think that's in our good Lord's hands up above. The way that
Is the plan one?
The plan right now is one, yes, but a lot of it depends upon what kind of year I am able to have and how healthy I'm able to stay. That's all taken into consideration. And the fact, too, Pat, this is my 4th team in 4 years. I finished in '89 with the Mets, then went to the Giants and the Dodgers the last 2 years, and now to Montreal. I can't even see myself going to another ball club. Yeah. And it's just too much moving around. And the fact that it's closer to home and it's like a homecoming, I feel that this has got to be the last place for me to play. and hopefully it'll be a couple more years. I don't know yet, but we'll just take one day at a time.
And we're going to take one final break at this time, and we'll be back with more of Gary Carter.
The pasta.
They loved it.
The sauces.
They're great.
The cooking.
So easy.
Introducing McCain Pasta Magic. Simply microwave the sauce, run the frozen pasta under hot water for a few seconds, and magically, tender, just right pasta. Combine them for perfect pasta and perfect sauce.
Fettuccine.
Alfredo.
Pasta salad. My next topping.
New McCain Pasta Magic. Delicious, perfectly prepared pasta and sauce in less than 3 minutes.
It's magic.
It's McCain.
You meet someone and eventually want to share everything with them. It seems nothing will ever come between you, and nothing should, except this. Trust Trojan condoms. Reduce the risk.
TSN takes you on board a 2-month journey for yachting's oldest challenge, the America's Cup. It all gets under full sail beginning Saturday, 3 Eastern. Come aboard the America's Cup on Real TV, TSN.
Okay, I want to get to as many calls as we can possibly get to. We've only got a couple of minutes left. This is very interesting. I don't think we've ever had a call from the Northwest Territories, but Donnie is standing by in Iqaluit, Northwest Territories.
Donnie.
Go ahead.
How you doing here, Gary and Pat?
Good, Donnie.
Great, Donnie. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks. 2 questions, really, Gary. First one, I was wondering what you thought of the charges of racism in Darryl Strawberry's new book about the Mets organization, and what was your relationship with Darryl Strawberry?
Well, the allegations against these players right now, whether or not it's going to go through, we don't know as of yet, and it's unfortunate that these have occurred. I think that athletes in general, being high profile, things like this are going to come out, especially like what happened with the Mike Tyson thing. As far as the Darryl Strawberry book and all of those things that have transpired, I really don't have that much comment on that.
Were you in the book? Did he say anything about
I think he mentioned something about there being some racism and all that transpired in New York, and that's unfortunate because I could never see that. I mean, if there was one player that I felt was treated fairly, it was Darryl Strawberry. So that's unfortunate that something like that would come out. But that's the only thing that I would say as far as those allegations go. Until that they are proven guilty, let's just say that it's something that has come up for somebody to get some publicity.
Okay, let's go out to Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. Jeff is our final caller of the evening. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hi there, Gary. I still haven't forgiven Rick Monday or Steve Rogers for 1981. And I was just wondering what, besides money, would cause players like Tim Raines, Gary Carter, and Andre Dawson to have a falling out with management and the team?
Well, sometimes things like that happen. I think that part of the reason, and I don't want to say this unless it came from the horse's mouth himself, and that being Charles Bronfman, but I think that part of the reason that some of the players left Montreal was that of the contract squabbles that transpired. And that's understandable because it's not a very rich organization, but yet at the same token, they have taken care of some of the players that are there. Dennis Martinez, Tim Wallach, Ivan Calderon are making very good salaries.
Well, they had to at that point.
Well,
though.
sure. But Tim Raines, you'll be interested to hear this. I talked to him the other day when the White Sox were in to play the Atlanta Braves, and he came to me and he says, you know, I will always remember my years in Montreal, and he said himself also that he'd like to come back and finish his career in Montreal.
Well, I'll tell you, I think he's going to do a terrific job with Chicago because they look like they have a club that could really create some damage in the American League West.
Bet.
Gary, I can't thank you enough. And the response by the people across the country tonight is indicative of how loved you were when you were there. And as long as you don't fall flat in your face this time around, I'm sure it'll be the same.
Well, I hope so too, Pat. It's always a pleasure. Thanks very much for having me. And to all you fans out there, we look forward to a great year here in 1992.
Well, he may no longer be a kid, but he's still a kid at heart, and they're certainly looking forward to seeing him in Montreal. Gary Carter, a terrific guest. Next week, We'll come to you from Dunedin, the home base of the Toronto Blue Jays, and we'll be on the air at 8:30 next week, so look for us then. I'm Pat Marsden for Gary Carter and the crew here in West Palm Beach, Florida. Thanks for watching us tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing you 7 days from now. Good night, everybody.
Body Break.